I think each player has their specific sets. Every single player here is a fighter.
At least 80%, if not even more, of the questions coming from fans throughout the tournament have centered on one thing: when is Alex Eala playing? That overwhelming level of interest says everything about the excitement surrounding the young Filipina star. And this isn't speculation from a fan page or social media account. Those words came directly from Mark Ine, the chairman of the Mubadala Citi DC Open, who revealed that the vast majority of inquiries received by the tournament have been about Alex Eala's match schedule. Her growing popularity has made her one of the biggest attractions at this year's event, drawing attention from fans eager to watch her compete.
Nice person and a grateful person and a humble person.
Spoken live into a microphone on July 28, 2026, those comments quickly became one of the biggest talking points of the tournament. Within 48 hours, the reaction from a corner of the tennis world that few expected would explain exactly why this story has captured so much attention. Aryna Sabalenka's absence became part of the conversation as Alex Eala's matches attracted enormous interest at the Mubadala Citi DC Open. Just 3 days earlier, Alex Eala had arrived in Washington for her tournament debut, ranked number 28 in the world. Her opening round opponent was none other than Zheng Qinwen, the reigning Olympic gold medalist and one of the WTA's toughest competitors. As Alex's name echoed through the stadium, the applause was impossible to ignore. But tournament officials still had one question in mind: how many Filipino fans would actually show up in Washington, D.C.? They were about to get their answer long before the first official match even began. On Monday morning, July 27, Eala stepped onto one of the outside practice courts for a routine training session. Right beside her was four-time Grand Slam champion Naomi Osaka, preparing for her own practice. Under normal circumstances, Osaka would have been the center of attention. This time, she wasn't. The largest crowd gathered around Eala's court. Fans pressed against the fences carrying Philippine flags, phones raised high, hopping to record every rally despite the fact that no points were being played. There was no scoreboard, no trophy on the line, and no official match. Yet the excitement surrounding the young Filipina rivaled anything seen during tournament play. That was the moment organizers realized Alex Eala had become one of the biggest attractions of the entire event. Meanwhile, world number one Aryna Sabalenka wasn't even in Washington. She had chosen to skip the tournament to prepare for Cincinnati and the US Open. Under ordinary circumstances, that decision would have attracted little attention. Instead, the spotlight shifted elsewhere. Throughout the season, Sabalenka had openly expressed frustration about the demanding WTA schedule, questioning tournament planning, and discussing the challenges of balancing the calendar. At the same time, Eala quietly continued building momentum through consistent performances and rapidly growing fan support. In Washington, those two very different storylines crossed paths. Tournament chairman Mark Ine confirmed publicly that the overwhelming majority of fan inquiries were about one player. At first, he estimated that around 80% of ticket requests centered on Alex Eala. Then he corrected himself. He admitted that virtually every inquiry they received asked the same question: when is Alex Eala playing? Coming from the person responsible for the tournament's attendance, that statement spoke volumes about her popularity. Then came the performance that justified all of the excitement. Facing Olympic champion Zheng Qinwen, Eala dropped the opening set 6-4 and soon found herself trailing after an early break in the second. Everything suggested the higher-ranked favorite was taking control. Instead, Eala completely changed the match. She raised her level, won 7 consecutive games, and stormed to a remarkable 4-6, 6-4, 6-1 comeback victory. It was one of the most impressive wins of her career. As the match ended, television cameras captured a noticeably brief handshake at the net before Zheng quickly turned away. Whether it reflected simple disappointment after a difficult loss or something more, fans immediately began discussing the moment across social media. It also wasn't the first time this season that emotions had run high after one of Eala's biggest victories. Earlier in the year, several tightly contested matches had produced emotional reactions from experienced opponents, highlighting just how difficult and frustrating it can be to lose to the rapidly rising Filipina. The contrast between the week's biggest stories was impossible to ignore. While Sabalenka prepared away from Washington, Eala was filling practice courts, drawing packed crowds inside Stadium Court, and producing one of the tournament's signature comeback victories. By Wednesday, Mark Ine's comments had only reinforced what thousands of fans inside the venue had already witnessed. Alex Eala had become one of the tournament's biggest attractions. Her growing influence extends beyond ticket sales. With more than 920,000 Instagram followers and engagement levels that marketing analysts have frequently described as exceptionally high for a player outside the WTA's elite rankings, Eala has become one of tennis' fastest-growing personalities. Her commercial appeal now stretches far beyond her ranking. Former ATP standout Steve Johnson also acknowledged that growing popularity during an episode of the Nothing Major podcast. When asked whether Eala had become one of the biggest attractions in women's tennis, Johnson answered confidently that she had, comparing her growing fan phenomenon to the excitement surrounding several of the sport's fastest-rising young stars. Washington only strengthened that perception. The bigger picture extends beyond one tournament. For years, professional tennis largely depended on its highest-ranked stars to drive attendance and television audiences. Eala's rise suggests another path is emerging. A player capable of connecting with an entirely new audience can become one of the sport's biggest attractions regardless of ranking. Her impact throughout Southeast Asia has already demonstrated that potential. The next major tests were already on the horizon. First came a second-round showdown against defending DC Open champion Leylah Fernandez, who had defeated Eala earlier in the season. Then came the US Open, where another deep run could lead to a featured Stadium Court assignment in New York. Looking even further ahead, tournaments like Indian Wells will provide another opportunity to measure just how powerful Eala's growing fan base has become. Of course, none of this guarantees victories. Fernandez had beaten Eala convincingly in Stuttgart, and other top players have also handed her difficult defeats this season. The challenge remains enormous. Following her comeback over Zheng, Eala addressed reporters with the same calm confidence she has shown throughout her breakthrough year. She explained that she trusted the work she had put in and believed her experience was allowing her to apply that preparation at the highest level. There were no excuses, no dramatic celebrations, just quiet confidence. Looking back at the week, the sequence was remarkable. A packed practice court before the tournament even started. A thrilling comeback over an Olympic champion. A tournament chairman publicly acknowledging that nearly every fan inquiry revolved around one player. Together, those moments illustrated how quickly Alex Eala's profile has grown on the world stage. Whether this momentum continues throughout the remainder of the season remains to be seen. But one thing became clear in Washington. Alex Eala is no longer simply one of tennis' promising young talents. She has become one of its biggest attractions.